on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
I think a lot of it at the beginning is just the unknown, and a lot of it can be so intimidating, which can make it easy to say, you know what, never mind. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stay in my salary job, get a consistent paycheck. I feel like there's so many thoughts for women, especially that, want to start something, and the self-doubt of, well, someone's already doing it, or, that's already out there. And it might be, there's so many jewelry companies or designer bag companies, and thank goodness, but no one's going to do it the way that you're going to do it.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Toombs, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Welcome back to today's episode. Joining me is Elizabeth Keith, founder of On Row, a sorority apparel brand based in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I always like talking to a fellow Elizabeth. It's such a good name.
Yes, I agree.
Well, let's start from the beginning. Tell us the story behind On Row and what inspired you to create this brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the college days, I joined Zeta Tau Alpha when I was in undergrad and absolutely loved it. Loved just what sorority life can bring college students, as I'm sure that you feel the same too, working with that age group. And have just loved, ever since then, being involved in sorority life. When I was in college, I was actually more involved on the Panhellenic side. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see how different chapters, do different things and work with other individuals, which was really cool. And then from there, I actually started working in higher education, which you never really think of when you're in college is that job. Mm-hmm. But I worked in fraternity and sorority life for about 7 years at different schools and absolutely loved it. Had different roles as coordinator, assistant director, and then director. And just really loved what the students were doing, what the organizations were about, what they stood for, the philanthropy work that they all do, and loved my job in that role. And then the most previous role I was in as director, it was about 2 hours away from where my husband and I currently live. Oh. And so decided to leave really just because, family comes first. And so left that job. And I wanted to find a way to still incorporate working with sororities, trying to have an impact on the things that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so that's how On Row was born. And it's been super fun just still being able to work with sororities in a little bit of a similar capacity, but still different than the role that I was as director. So I've loved it. I launched in January of 2024. Mm-hmm. So have learned a lot through the first, recruitment season, fall, and then spring. And it's been great. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. No. But I have absolutely loved it.
That's a great story. So you said January of 2024. So we're a little bit more than a year in now.
Yeah. Well, June of 2024 is when I launched.
June of 2024. Okay. So we're coming up on a year, which is very exciting. Yes, a very fun milestone in your work. So you are a Zeta, and I see on Instagram you do a lot of work with Zeta chapters. So have you kind of hooked in on a national level, or how do you make connections with these different chapters?
Yeah, great question. So a big part of it is networking, and the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've really just, made connections with different organizations, but Zeta being one of them, just with being a member. And working with chapters at schools that I have worked at has been a key point. So kind of looking into those relationships and working with those members and the relationships with advisors and everything. Mm-hmm. And then I've noticed that each event, it kind of just grows from there. So Zeta does a national event called Zeta Day with chapters in different states. And so my first event was the Georgia Zeta Day, and all the chapters come to that event from different schools in that state. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the Alabama, Mississippi one, the South Carolina one, and they have all been great events and just been great to meet different members and work with different schools at different states has been really cool.
That sounds cool. So what all goes into Zeta Day? Like, what does that event look like?
Yeah. So the women behind it do a lot more than I do. As a vendor, I simply show up, but it's a great event that they host. They recognize different recipients for different awards, whether it's current members or alumni, different achievements that the chapter has had. And so it's a huge event. A lot goes into it. And it's really a day that every chapter gets to be, represented. They get to be in the same room with each other, which they don't really get to do that often. So yeah, it's really cool. And then to have different vendors there to, kind of get, have sorority apparel, and local boutiques are there and everything. So they do a great job with like that partnership.
Oh yeah, it sounds really fun and energizing. And I think you are underplaying the role of being a vendor there, that you just show up, because I have seen your videos of your car when you're going to these events and you're loaded down and schlepping a lot of stuff.
I know. I wonder why I'm so exhausted at the end of those. But they're so fulfilling. But yes, just the labor of it all, I'm like, phew. But it's so fun. I always have the best help with me too when I do those events. So it makes it fun. And I really enjoy them.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Do you take friends or family, or do you have employees that help you?
Friends and family have been great. So we make it fun.
Yeah, that makes it a little fun, like social outing. And it sounds like all of these too so far have been within driving distance for you. So very manageable for traveling.
Yes, they have.
Well, that's super cool. So On Row has a unique aesthetic. And so how would you describe that aesthetic, your design philosophy, and like, what do you think are your standout elements?
Yes. So when I first started, I really wanted to find a way to stand out from, I don't really like to call them the competition, but the people doing similar things in the same industry. And so I wanted to be, easily approachable for students, a great resource for them to have a vendor at an event or work with a company for, trucker hats or sorority sweatshirts or merch for their executive boards. And so really trying to have that personal feel, mostly on social media, because that's, the platform where so many of, that age goes to. And so trying to find, the personal touch and being less of like a corporation that doesn't have, a face or a name with it, but having that, talking about that I was in a sorority and having that personal connection, I really want to, continue to hone in on and have wanted to make that a priority from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I hear you on not necessarily wanting to call it the competition, because there's lots of room within an industry or a market for multiple companies, right? That's, why you're thriving and doing well. And, I think you've mentioned before about sometimes the space can feel crowded, and, it will make you maybe not feel confident in going for the opportunity in business, or maybe you feel like, it's saturated. And so good for you for getting out there and seeing that little niche in which you could carve out for yourself and kind of stand out in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. No, you said it exactly. I feel like there's so many thoughts for women, especially that, want to start something, and the self-doubt of, well, someone's already doing it, or, that's already out there. And it might be, there's so many jewelry companies or designer bag companies, and thank goodness. But no one's going to do it the way that you're going to do it. And so I think that's so important for, women and men to remember, is that you will bring something so different and unique to whatever you decide to start or, journey to embark on. And it's going to be unique because it's you.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's a really inspiring message. And I think I've been in business for 16 years, and I still have to remind myself of that I'm uniquely me. There's a reason that I have this opportunity and I'm in this space, even though at the moment I may feel like, everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So as an entrepreneur, are there any specific obstacles that you encountered while you were trying to establish this company, or that you've hit along the way, or any huge successes too?
I think a lot of it at the beginning is just the unknown. And a lot of it can be so intimidating, which can make it easy to say, you know what, never mind. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stay in my salary job, get a consistent paycheck. And it's hard too. You know, people see the freedom and see, you know, the great side of it, which there is a great side for sure. But I think the beginning part, the obstacles, it was just continuing to, you know, check things off, get things done, and learn how to do everything. And there was so much with sorority to learn before you even start. So there's the licensing, there's the insurance, there's all the legal, you know, things you have to check off. That process took such a long time, but it all needed to be done, you know, in order to, you know, get the license and then create the merch and everything. So I think just, you know, deciding to start and then deciding that you are the only one that can make sure everything gets done. And if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. So I think in the beginning, you just have to be you have to be determined and motivated and, you know that once you work hard, it's going to all work out and it's going to be worth it. But just going through it and just learning, and there's really no handbook or there's no guide.
You're right.
There's no training for this. And so it's a lot of, it's self-taught and you're just kind of learning how to make it work.
It's the cliche statement of you're building the plane as you're flying it. You're just figuring it out as you go. And the only way to figure more out is just keep going forward and keep trying things. And if something doesn't work, okay, then you move on and try something else. Or if it does, then you keep going as you are.
Yes, exactly. And I had to keep telling myself, it doesn't have to be perfect to start. But you have to start and then it will be perfect. And so that was hard for me, especially when you're posting things and you're wanting it to be public. You're worried someone's gonna, find like, oh, well, what were you doing here? Or why'd you post this one? And so that's what I just kept telling myself, is like, just start and then you'll figure it out. But if you're too hesitant to, make that first post or make that jump, you'll be waiting around forever. And so start before you're ready is what I just kept telling myself. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. And when you said something about perfect, I have something pinned up on my board next to my computer, and it says done is better than perfect, because it's just taking action and like not letting perfectionism slow you down, because you could, like you said, you'll get hung up and never, ever move or take action.
Yeah, exactly. I love that quote.
It's a good one. So I'm curious, what you're seeing are the trends in apparel for sororities right now?
Yes, great question. So it's funny. I think of myself as younger, and then I realized that I'm not always keeping up with the trends.
I feel that deeply. Yes.
I'm like, oh, I know exactly what the trends are. I definitely don't. So I have brought on some wonderful girls who are like, okay, this is what college students are wanting. And it's girls that are on campuses or have recently graduated that can, see on, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or just in person of what sorority girls are gravitating towards. And it changes so often too, is what I've learned. It's like as soon as we've nailed down a design, the next one comes up. So overall with our designs, we try to keep them minimal and just, stay with the simple, because I think those are always going to be in, and, trends will continue to waver. But the majority of the designs and apparel we do, whether you're 18 or you're a mom purchasing for your daughter, you're going to kind of gravitate towards those. So we tried to keep some consistent and like the main designs that way. And then there's some other ones we bring in that have bows on them that are big right now. And the floral print has been a big hit. So those have been super popular. And then sweatshirts and hoodies, always the top seller. And no matter the time of year, everyone loves to have a cozy sweatshirt and a comfy hoodie just to put on. So those are always the top products. And then, like I said, just keeping it simple and just that minimal look, and then just kind of bringing in those trends when needed, for sure.
Yeah, I like that. And I fully relate to the hoodie comment. I somehow got on this habit of when I go to a concert buying the hoodie for the concert, and I love going to live shows. And so now I have an obscene amount of hoodies in the closet, and I'm just always all winter or through the summer when the house is cold just trying to wear all my hoodies because I have this big collection now.
Yes, I'm the exact same. I will go shopping in June and I'm buying a hoodie.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's soft and cozy, you can curl up in it. Like, I'm there.
Yes,
I'm buying
I know.
it.
I cannot turn them down.
No. And that's why I always find myself like this time of year as spring's approaching, I'm like, oh, I really don't have a lot of spring and summer clothes. I need to work on that. And it's because I've been buying winter stuff and hoodies.
Right. Exactly.
So yes. So you talked about bringing some girls on to help you keep on top of trends. Are these interns or like campus ambassadors, or what kind of term do you use for their role in the company?
Yes, great question. So a little bit of both. And I think a lot of that is just navigating what works and what doesn't work in this business. So just figuring that out. But I do have a number of brand ambassadors, and they are at about 6 different schools. And so kind of, different regions, and they have been super helpful with just, we'll send them a design and they'll send feedback, which is super great. And then 2 girls I work with that are, one's an intern and then a social media manager.
Yeah.
So having them kind of help with different trends, creating those designs, and then we work to put those on a sweatshirt and then just kind of see what they look like, how they do at different events. And that's why the pop-up events are so great, to just get instant feedback. And just to have conversations with the customers is something I love so much. And so being able to talk with them about the designs and just the business in general, I've always enjoyed. So it's been great. And then the girls that are helping, just their perspective of, what sorority girls are wanting and what they think will do well and what won't do well, has been really helpful.
Yeah, I would say so. What you're talking about makes me think so much about like my early days when having my design company, because I've always had an intern from inception, just somebody to work with me. And part of it was a mentoring part of things. Like, I enjoy being able to do that. And I know how much I needed to be mentored at that point and just get exposed to the career I thought I wanted to have. And then part of it is to help keep my finger on the pulse of what is the right vibe and trend on a college campus. And so it's a very mutually beneficial relationship. And that's what I hear you describing as well.
Yes, it's been great. And even last summer, when I first started, I had a girl help as an intern. And she was great just to talk through, things that they think about that I might have forgotten of after being not in college anymore. But just, in the phases of sorority world of, you have recruitment, you have bid day, you have big little, you have initiation, and kind of ways that we can, market those things, and how can we be helpful with bid day gifts for moms, and then big little baskets for girls to buy, and an initiation basket for moms. So kind of finding those different things that we can tap into of what are people looking for, and how can we be a resource for that. And a lot of that, too, was from the beginning. I kept hearing moms, whether it was in my job as director or just family friends, of like, well, I want to buy my daughter something when she joins. Do you know where I can do that? And, there are sites and boutiques and places on Etsy, but I really wanted to create that like one-stop shop where they could go and buy anything they wanted to. So a sweatshirt, a jewelry tray, a cup for their coffee, different things, and just have that one place that they can purchase everything and they can ship it straight to their daughter if they choose to, or buy a couple things and then get it sent to them to deliver.
I think that's really smart to become that resource for them. And then it's fun and creatively fulfilling for you too, to design and create those products.
Yes.
You talked about having some of these ambassadors or helpers in different regions. What regions do you focus on now? And is there anywhere that you're not in currently, but you're hoping to expand?
Yes, always hoping to expand. So being based out of Atlanta and having worked at schools in Georgia, a majority of our customers are from Georgia.
Sure.
And most recently, Alabama, Mississippi from the recent events, and in South Carolina as well. So definitely, the Southeast states right around there. I actually do have an event coming up next fall that will be at Arkansas. So super excited about that too. So always looking to expand with the in-person events. Having those be close by at first has been super helpful, and just, having so many great colleges close by is great. And then would love to continue expanding. It's always funny. The first couple years of business, I got an order from someone in Kansas, and I was like, oh my goodness, someone in Kansas found us. Yeah. And so it's really cool just to see that at first when you go from, you see orders come through and everyone on that list is people and then you start to get orders from someone you've never met before. And so I keep seeing that, and that gives me just encouragement and momentum that people are seeing it, and it's been really cool to see that progress so far.
Yeah, it is super cool. And it's like that you just described exactly what that meme online says about like when you buy from a small business that there's somebody in the background doing a little happy dance when they see your order come through. And like that is exactly what you are saying, because it's suddenly not just, oh, this isn't just my network or my friends supporting me. Other people are seeing it and hearing about me, and they're starting to help me build my business too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been cool to see that growth, and we'll be excited to continue to expand wherever it takes us.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I keep a map in my office and with pins in all the cities where we've done projects, and that's been really cool to see how that's expanded over the years. And it's always just it's a fun shot of encouragement when I'm sitting at my desk working or on like harder entrepreneurial days. And so, do you keep track of anything like that so far?
Not in a cool way like that. So that's a great idea. I'll have to start doing that.
Yeah, you should. It's fun. And it's a conversation starter, like if somebody's in my office too. So
yeah, definitely. I love that.
So are you licensed with all Pan-Hellenic organizations, or do you have specific ones that you're working with right now?
Yes. So almost all of them. So there's 26 national sororities total. I think right now we have 18 licenses.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yes. And so we started with 8, and then those were just the ones at the schools that we were working most closely with. And so we wanted to have all the sororities for, bid day gifts and for their events and everything. And then we expanded and got licensed for a couple more. So we're 18 now, and then we'll kind of see where it takes us if we need to add on more. We've also talked about getting into the fraternity world of licensing too. So haven't done that yet, just with all the moving parts that come with licensing. But yes, we are licensed for 18 sororities right now.
Oh, that's really great. And then is that list on your website, or how does somebody find that information?
Yeah, great question. So all of those that we have a license for are on the website.
Okay.
And then we do have a coming soon tab where the organizations we aren't yet licensed for are. And that's just because the license is easily accessible at this point in business. And so we are able, if someone did reach out about an order for a sorority or fraternity that we're not licensed for, that we're able to kind of do that process and then work with them on their orders.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, great question.
I am curious, when you're talking about some of the students that you have come and work with you, are there certain majors that you pull from specifically? Is it like fashion design, or is it really more about them being involved in sorority life? And like, what makes a good, I guess, candidate to work with you? And like, do you have advice for folks that are seeking to get into the fashion industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. So long term, I would love to have so many spots for interns in the future, of just whether it's a summer internship for just a few months or something they're searching for the fall and spring. And I really think it's a little bit of what the student is looking for, and then also a combination of what the business needs at that time. And so the first summer was a lot of, marketing, social media, looking into trends. So kind of a little bit of everything. Definitely sorority life experience and just being a member is key, just so that they understand that world and what goes on, what the trends are, what the calendar year looks like with different events and everything, and how we can target those with our customers.
Yeah.
And then experience with marketing is always helpful, social media management, and then fashion as well, just to kind of help with graphic design work and things like that. So I'm always super open to whatever the students are looking for and kind of tapping into what their strengths are.
Yeah.
And then also looking into what they want experience doing. You know, if they want to manage all the social media, great, they can take it. If it's the designs that they want to focus more on and get more experience with different platforms doing that, then we can always use that help as well.
Isn't it interesting? When you start a business, it's usually like, I want to create clothes for sorority women. And then you get into it and it's like, oh, well, there's all these other like underlying things that have to be done. All the behind the scenes stuff that you described that nobody sees, but you must have it in order to keep things running the way that they're running. And you don't realize it until you get into the work.
Yes. There's so many moving parts to it.
Yeah.
And there's even things that I still am, you know, not as well educated on or still learning about for sure. And just all the aspects of running a business. And like you said, the behind the scenes that no one sees, it's not glamorous, are definitely interesting too.
They really are. And it's funny because sometimes I'll joke, I really need like a psychology degree to do this job. And because, you know, you're trying to like get into people's heads and really understand what they want from their aesthetic. And that's true definitely in sorority work, but it also really applies in like our residential work when you're trying to balance so many different opinions and people's preferences. It's just, business is not, I guess, as simple as you think it is when you get started. And it's probably best that we're a little bit ignorant, or maybe we wouldn't go forward with the work.
Yes, exactly. I was listening to a podcast recently and the host was like, if I knew it was going to be like this, I don't think I would ever have started this. Like, why would anyone sign up for this? And then, you know, they talk about, you know, the positives of it, but it's true. There's a lot that goes into it that before it's probably good that, you know, we're unaware of, or we would have run so fast the other way.
You're right. Good days and bad days, right? Ups and downs in all types of work.
Yes. Well, and what I've noticed too is having people in the same space is so helpful just to, you know, see what they're doing and then, you know, reassure each other of like, okay, yeah, that was really challenging for me too. There's so much comfort in that, and just having people to be a resource or a sounding board or know what you mean when you talk about entrepreneurship is so helpful.
Yes.
So that's always great too.
It is. And I think that sometimes in a world where like so much work is remote and you are a solopreneur, you can get very isolated, and just a simple like coffee with somebody or getting on the phone and just sort of sharing experiences, I think is very uplifting. And I see you nodding too, that yes, because you just forget sometimes that you're not the only one dealing with it, and just talking about it with somebody else helps you to like move through it and come up with new ideas so much quicker than if you're just sitting in it by yourself.
Yes, definitely.
So if a chapter or an organization wants to work with you, what does that process look like from start to finish, kind of high level?
Yes. So they are welcome to reach out to us. Some people go through our website. So we have a custom order form there that people can fill out. It just gives us the initial information of what they're wanting to order, an idea of the quantity, and when they need it by, and then a little bit of inspo of what they're thinking for the design. So a super quick form just to get that initial information so we can get started on our end. And then some people, if they find us on Instagram, they'll reach out that way and we'll direct them to that form. And we are super easy. So if email works best, we'll email with you. If a phone call works best to talk through the designs, that's perfect. Or we'll just text back and forth. And then once we have an idea of the design that they want, we'll kind of work on that and give a few different options on a proof. And we'll send the proof back and send some pricing back if we have their numbers of the number that they're wanting to order.
Yeah.
And then if they like the proof, or if they need some edits, we'll make those edits, and then they'll approve it. And then we'll get started on the pressing of the designs. So it can be super quick. We do have some organizations reach out and they're like, I need this, you know, sweatshirt in 2 weeks for my team. And I'm like, we got it. So I have a really hard time telling people no, because I want to make things happen.
Yep.
Sometimes I might regret it, but I usually don't. And so that's just another way of wanting to be a resource for them of like, okay, you're on a quick timeline. I get it. You have this event coming up. Let's make it happen. And so we, try to get those orders done super quick if they're on a quick timeline. Usually orders take between, 2 and 3 weeks to get done, just depending on the number and, how long it takes to finalize the blank apparel that they want, the design that they're wanting and everything. And then we get that done, we get it shipped to them, and that's it.
Nice. Okay. Well, so that's good to know. Sometimes I just think people don't always know what to expect in going through the process. And I think the more information you can share, the better. And it just educates people and manages expectations.
Yes, definitely.
So one new adventure you're embarking on is motherhood here in a few months, right?
Yes.
So what does motherhood and on row look like? Are we going to have a new little salesman on the team?
We are, where our team is growing. So we're excited. My husband and I are expecting our first baby boy this summer. Of course, the busiest time for sorority life. So
Yep.
I have to figure out what maternity leave looks like because I don't think there's any. But that is just part of owning a business. So it will actually be fun. Our baby's due in July. And then, as you know, in the sorority world, July is busy and August is even busier. And sometimes September is even busier. So it will be an all hands on deck of, getting ready for those events, getting the products ready and everything. My family is super great and supportive, and my husband's as well. So just using the people around us that support us and still making it happen, and having a little baby boy along the way will just make it all better. So it'll be fun to just kind of figure out navigating entrepreneurship, motherhood, and bid days all at one time.
Right? Again, building the plane as you fly it. Just see how it goes and what needs to happen.
Yes, definitely. We're excited, though.
Well, rightfully so. Congratulations. That's very exciting.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, Elizabeth, I appreciate you making time to come on and share about your business journey and what it is that you do. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes. And Liz, thank you so much for having me. It's been so great to chat with you.
Yes, agreed.
The best way is probably our Instagram. I know that's the platform that most people go towards. So our profile there is just on row. And then in our bio, it takes you to our links of a custom order form, takes you to our website. So we would love for anyone to reach out about custom orders for executive board merch, chapter merch. Right now we're in the season of bid day, trucker hats, which I love.
Same.
And a trend with that is all the neon. So the neon trucker hats with the big letters. So those are always fun orders to work on. So yeah, we'd love to help any organization as much as we can.
Well, that's awesome. And we'll put all of that contact information in the show notes as well so that people can just directly click over and copy all of that. But thank you so much. I look forward to continuing to watch your journey on Instagram and social media unfold. And I would love to connect with you the next time I'm down in Georgia.
Yes, thank you so much.
Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tip. Here's today's house hot take. Hide the Wi-Fi router and respect the aesthetic. There's no reason your tech should ruin your design. Use a hollow book box, a cute basket, or even a fabric screen to hide routers and wires. You'll thank me later when your living room photos don't scream, an IT guy lives here. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Toombs, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. On that note, I'm Liz Toombs with Sorority Chat, and I'll see you on the next one. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Toombs.